Just another brother with another humble question. Just another brother with another humble question.
Welcome to another episode of A Brother with Questions. I am your host, B. Man. Man, oh man. I've been gone for a while, man. I've been a little sick, under the weather. I had some technical difficulties with a couple of the pre-recorded podcasts that I had put together for you guys, man. But man, I'm back, man. I'm so excited right now, man. Let me just play my vibe for the day. I just want to play your vibe for the day, just a little bit. Just give you a little taste of my vibe for the day, real quick. Man, I'm on one right now. That's where I'm at right now, man. Oh man, I'm ready. I'm so ready to roll on y'all today, man. Like I said, man, I'm just glad to be back, man. After unplanned hiatus, we're gonna call it unplanned hiatus. I ain't posted nothing in about a week, man. Like I said, this cold got a brother down, but he's back. He's back, man. Please, man, before I forget, man, please like, subscribe to the channel. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Castbox, Spotify. It's all A Brother with Questions, man. Go check us out. Like, subscribe, share it to your friends, man. Let's go, man. So I am coming back with a reaction video for you guys. You see it. You see it right next to me. We got Dr. Umar in the building over here. And we're going to respond to some of the things he said in this video, man. I tell you, I'm not necessarily like Dr. Umar is all of it, but the man, every now and then, he drops some gems that you just gotta, you're like, man, I can't disagree, man. But let's check him out. What he talking about, man? Umar, let's spit to him, boy.
He's 100% correct. Look at all the billionaires we got. I just named some of them. Can you name a single institution, relevant institution? Not a barbershop, not a restaurant. Nothing against barbershops and restaurants. We need them. But nobody's not going to die if they don't eat at a restaurant or get their hair cut. You understand? The critical institutions are the banks, the supermarkets, the hospitals, the schools, the manufacturing and the distribution. Every people needs those. Like Garvey said, when you go to the European race, they finance each other. You go to the Mexicans, they finance each other. You go to the Arabs and the Chinese, they finance each other.
Whew. I mean, just right there. I mean, we can stop right there. Where are the black institutions? Now, I'll give some credit due to where credit is due here. Of course, Killer Mike and he came together with a few brothers, and they started a black bank. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot what the name of it, but I know it's has to do with the green something. Man, I'm gonna have to look that up before we get out of here. But so I know Killer Mike, and it's working with some brothers working on a black bank situation. Of course, there's One United is out there as well, and several other institutions. But I mean, the bigger issue is, why don't we have these institutions everywhere today? Why is it that everything is on? I mean, I get everything is online, but why is everything online? Why can't I go in the neighborhood and get to the bank? Black bank. Because truth be told, everybody ain't online like that. Everybody's on social media, but everybody ain't online. Everybody's not doing business online, so we need access in the community. Hospitals, we need access in the community. We talk all the time about how the bigger population, if you will, doesn't treat black people the same when they go to the hospitals. Okay, I'll take you at your word, but why then, where are our black hospitals? Where are our black clinics in the black neighborhood that are going to cater to black people in the way that black people say they want to be catered to? Somebody's got to finance these things. Who's going to do it? The government's not going to do it. The government is going to help fund Planned Parenthood, and you know, Planned Parenthood is in most black neighborhoods, partially due to government funding. And they offer women's health care services, they say. But where is the black institution that's getting government funds? Just saying, where we at?
Their rich people finance the people on the bottom. You don't see that in black America. I just saw an interview where somebody was talking to a European Jew. You know what he said? He said, the reason Jewish people celebrate their billionaires is because they know when one of us becomes a billionaire, several of them are going to become millionaires automatically. You see that? If he's rich, I know I'm getting a piece of it. So the wealth of one is automatically the wealth of all. You don't get that in black America. Jay-Z's money is Jay-Z's money. LeBron's money is LeBron money. Oprah Winfrey, the richest woman in the history of the North American continent, black or white, Oprah hasn't built a single institution in America for black people. Nothing would be more.
Whoo, he's spitting, man. He's spitting. You know, we talk all the time about our black billionaires and we celebrate their successes. We should. I think we should celebrate the success of anybody, especially anybody who's built a company big enough to put you in a billionaire status, right? That talks about the level of success that you've made. But, you know, why aren't these same people now investing back into the community? And here's what I mean by that. I'm not talking about giving out money. I don't think anybody should be giving out money. I think, you know, what I would think they would want to do is maybe start a venture capitalist firm, right? And so in a venture capitalist firm, for those that don't know how those work, you know, there's a certain amount of money set aside that capital, that fund is going to invest in every year. And then people basically pitch their ideas. The fund chooses the ideas that they want to pursue. And then they actively pursue those ideas in whatever shape and form, fashion that they're able to come to agreement on. And so to me, that's what they should be doing. Like, why aren't they doing that? And then in particular, why aren't they focusing on doing that and then again investing back in the community? And it doesn't even, I'm not even saying if you have a venture capitalist firm and you're a black person, you should only invest in black businesses. By no means am I suggesting that, because trust me, when I build my venture capitalist firm, black people are going to be on my list, but they won't be the only one. You know, but I think that as a black person, you should have a list. You should have an initiative to want to fund the people in your community so that you can bring your community up to a level that you want your community to be at. And then I think as black people, that should be our responsibility. Why? Number one, because that's the responsibility that we're placing on our government. Right? We argue every year about how the government needs to be doing more for the community. Well, if we're going to argue that the government needs to do more, well, then I put that back on the people that can do more as well. You need to be doing more too then, because you're voting for people and you're putting people in office who you think are going to do more for your community. Well, if you're going to put those people there, well, then you need to come up on your end as well if you can afford it and do more as well. I think it's not a government solution. The government doesn't solve anybody's problems. They only make things worse. So if we really are concerned, we have to start doing it ourselves.
Embarrassing that if Oprah Winfrey leaves this earth, and I wish nothing on her because I love the sister, but when she goes to her ancestors, she's going to leave probably one of the biggest estates in human history. And you never use none of that money for your people during your lifetime. All these celebrities we got, they don't do nothing. What are we celebrating right now? 50 years of hip hop.
With the Oprah situation, you know, Oprah is an enigma for me. And it's an enigma for two reasons. Number one, she's a very successful black woman, but she's never been married. Supposedly, you know, she has a long-term boyfriend situation with Stedman. I can't think of the man's last name, but Stedman. But again, y'all never been married. And then number two, as a result, right? She didn't have any kids. And then as far as I know of her family, I believe she wasn't very close with them. So, it begs the question, who are you helping in life? And I know she does the things in Africa and has a school for girls in Africa. And so, you could argue that that's her help back to the Black community, I guess. But it is just a question, like, what do you, as a Black person in America who's advocating about how the plight of Black America needs to improve, and then to be this Black American who has no children, who has very little family, familiar family that we're at least aware of. And I only say that because if is most popular and as she is, you would think you would have seen at least a cousin or something by now. But yet she's got one of the largest incomes, and we cannot put tangibly on our hand what she's doing for the community. I like, if we can't expect our successful people to do anything, how can we ask other people?
This whole year has been a celebration of 50 years of hip hop, and nobody has had a conversation yet. Has hip hop benefited the Black community? Overall, has this been a plus or has this been a minus? Now let's go to the institution.
Hip hop, 50 years. He asked the question, has it been a plus or has it been a minus? And when I thought about this question, when he said that, I'm wondering, how do we count the pluses? And for most people, I'm assuming if you ask the average person, they're going to go, it's been a plus, because it has made several millionaires and a few 100,000-aires or so out of individuals who might otherwise not reach that status. And so since it did that, they would call it a success. And I suppose that's an argument, but at the same time, when you look at the content, and I had to ask, one of the things I asked, and this is a criticism that D1 had a couple weeks ago. When you look at the content, has the content benefited the community? Has what people are saying uplifting us to become better? And if it isn't, is it still celebratory to celebrate the people who have used negative content to enrich themselves? That's an interesting question. Because if we're only celebrating the fact that several people got a couple of dollars, but we can't celebrate the fact that the content is putting us in a great light, are we really benefiting? And after 50 years, which I get it, it's not a long time, but it's a nice chunk of change. You change a generation in 50 to 100 years. So is the generation about to change after 50 years? Or is it getting worse? And again, I'm not talking about checks, because there are people still making checks. But what is the content doing? After 50 years, is the content elevating, or is the content bringing us back? What y'all think?
Hip hop is the most influential musical form in the world right now. 50 years. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry, of course, dominated by European Jews. But yet and still, many of these artists are very wealthy. Not a single institution has come from hip hop in 50 years. And
that to me is very interesting. One of my biggest criticisms of hip hop music as a business is I look at all the individuals who have, or at least who, according to Forbes, who are quote unquote either billionaires or worth several $100 million through their efforts through hip hop. And there's not a single one who is doing business outside of the machine. And here's what I mean by that. Like he said, the industry is controlled by Europeans, right? He said European Jews, but European. That's who owns all the record companies. In 50 years, we've got at least, I would say, anywhere from 8 to 10 people who purport that they're a few $100 million rich based on their efforts in hip hop. So my question is, why is it that we're all still chasing the machine in order to become successful? At what point, since we recognize it's the biggest genre in the world, since we recognize it's dominated by Black people, urban people, whatever, why aren't we taking control of the industry? Why isn't there not a Black company who controls the distribution, who controls the recording, who controls the streaming of all of these platforms for the most successful Black artists? Black owned. And I get it. One person by themselves may not be able to get it to the level that they want, and I respect that. But like I said, there's more than one person who purports to be worth more than a few $100 million through their efforts in hip hop. Where is not the coalition of people who have gotten together and began the process of creating a distribution system controlled by Black people? We're the most successful artists. We purport to, as individuals, we purport to have made, some of us, hundreds of millions, some of us, tens of millions, some of us, a few 100,000, whatever. Why aren't we now going back and taking control of this industry that we say is not built for us? Why are we still chasing the European machine in order to become successful? It doesn't make sense to me. Which is why when you think about celebrating 50 years of hip hop, you go, what are we celebrating? Celebrating the fact that y'all still getting robbed in y'all contracts? Celebrating the fact that some of y'all who've made a few $100 million were robbing the Black people that y'all put on? Celebrating the fact that after 20, 30 years and several $100 billion in record sales, you still are chasing the machine for your distribution deal? Instead of creating your own concepts when you are the machine is chasing you. Cut them out and go do your own thing. You made a few $1 billion. If we are not going to control our own institution, if we can't even control the music that we dominate and create and sell the most product across the world, what are we doing? What are we celebrating? The fact that a few of y'all made a couple of $1 million? Meanwhile, Jimmy Iovine's never recorded a record and he's made several $1 billion. But yeah, you got tens of millions? No. When are we going to change our mindsets to begin to take what you may perceive to be an L in the beginning to make $1 billion in 5 years? $1 billion, tens of billions in 10 years, hundreds of billions in 20. Come on, man. The man spit facts, man.
Supposed to ignore that? Am I supposed to act like these young brothers out here who pushing death and destruction, sexual exploitation and miscegenation of Black women? These young brothers who out here pushing drugs, selling, going to jail, and everything possibly illegal to children, I'm supposed to believe that this was a blessing to the black community when you brainwashing our kids, and on top of the brainwash, on top of the toxic content, you didn't even come back to the community and do anything good for it except give out some damn turkeys and sneakers. Are you kidding?
Boy, and don't we celebrate them? Ooh, he came back every year. He bring them turkeys and sneakers. Hey, man, these are the questions. These are the questions that we need to be asking ourselves. How long are we going to celebrate the death and destruction music? Prop these people up as they're the best and brightest of our community simply because millions of people thought WAP was a great song. Millions of people thought Pound Town was a wonderful song. And now this person is now elevated to be able to speak for the community. I'm sorry. To this day, I hold a grudge. I hold a grudge against Democrats. I hold a grudge against Biden to this day for the fact that he did an interview with Cardi B as if that was supposed to connect to black people. I still to this day, what was that, 4 years ago almost? Still to this day, I'm still mad about that. To me, that's so much disrespect. A successful song about nothing should not elevate you to the point where somehow I'm now supposed to listen to what you said. Now I'm supposed to care about what you have to say simply because you sold a song. You made a song about how great you thought you were in bed. What is so impressive? How does that elevate you to a point where I'm supposed to listen to you? It just blows my mind.
Kidding me? With the type of money that hip hop has generated around the world, there should be at least 25 Black Wall Streets in America right now. Chicago should have a Black Wall Street. LA should have a Black Wall Street. Atlanta should have a Black Wall Street. Memphis should have a Black Wall Street. Milwaukee should have a Black Wall Street. Little Rock should have a Black Wall Street with all the money that these gangster rappers are making, and yet and still they do nothing for their people.
The man speaking facts. Where's our Black Wall Street? Oh, I know. Y'all suing states and federal governments to get the money together to be able to build Black Wall Streets again. Come on, man. When are we going to take control of our own communities? You know? I'm waiting to see your guy Jaylen Brown in Boston. When he signed that $300 million contract, first thing he said he wanted to see a Black Wall Street in Boston. Let's see. I hope he does. I hope he goes right through with his plan. But what about the rest of y'all? Come on, man. It's no reason why these neighborhoods that all of these rappers, these football players, these basketball players, these neighborhoods that y'all came from, these neighborhoods that y'all say are suffering, these same neighborhoods that y'all grew up in, and none of y'all, and half of y'all don't even own a house in the old neighborhood. You haven't renovated a house, haven't renovated a block, but yet you'll go on TV and talk about the plight. I'm over it myself. I don't want to hear about nobody in the old nobody neighborhood that's made $50 to $60 million and hasn't put at least $500,000 back into the old neighborhood. I say I ain't even asking for a lot. If you made $50, $60 million, $500,000 is barely 1%. So I'm not telling you got to go rebuild the whole block. But come on, what you doing? What you doing in the old neighborhood, man?
That is what Garvey is talking about.
Yeah, you would think after all that we done been through that will come a day in which we'll unite some way, you know?
No, and I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah.
Because it takes love to unite. It takes anger to react. Trayvon Martin, we reacted. Michael Brown, we reacted. Breonna Taylor, we reacted. Philando Castile, we reacted. Sandra Bland, we reacted. Tommy Rice, we reacted. Dante, Amir, we reacted. And we needed to. Rebellions are important. You understand? Riots are important. Revolutions are better. You know why we never get to the point of revolution? Because in order for that rebellion and that riot to become a revolution, the people involved must be committed spiritually to the liberation of their people. A riot and a rebellion is nothing more than a temporary temper tantrum. It's a temporary temper tantrum. That's not going to change nothing. You need revolution.
Wait, that boy said a mouthful right there. That's why I let it ride. I had to let that one ride. We need, in order to start a revolution, we need to love each other. We need to be connected spiritually. One of my biggest things that I hated was the George Floyd riot. And the George Floyd protests and things that were going on. And I tell you why. I'm going to steal his words because I wouldn't necessarily phrase it that way, but I loved the way he said that. Just like in the Trayvon and Tamir Rice and all those situations, we were reacting out of anger. We wanted you to see our tears, and because we were crying, because we were hurting, we wanted you to move and do something. And for me, we're so past the day of crying for what we need and people understanding our tears. Because truth be told, nobody really cares. Nobody in this world cares about our tears. People only care about what's going to benefit them long term. And so your tears will get you a kneeling in the offices of Congress or in the hallway of Congress or wherever they were with a kente cloth. But feelings don't get you legislation. Feelings don't get you change from both sides, Democrat and Republican, because no matter what they tell you, they can't do it by themselves. They need both parties to work together to get a job done. And that's half the problem now. Is we're so focused on bending over backwards to make sure Democrats love us, we've neglected an entire party of people who we can't get anything accomplished without talking to them too. And as a result, we're stuck in the same place, hoping our tears are going to shed some light on the world. Nobody cares about our tears. They care about their power, whether they're Democrat or Republican. When are we going to get together out of love and create institutions that then fund the people that we want to see in office to be able to accomplish the things that we want? Because they do the things that people who put money in their pockets ask them to do. We won't put a dime in anybody's pocket, but we'll shed a tear in their office. When are we going to change? When are we going to develop a strategy to get the things accomplished that we're serious about getting done? Because I'm sorry to hear to tell you, your tears ain't going to do it. Nobody don't care about your tears. Revolution.
Sustained activity. But the problem is, black people are not motivated by love. We're motivated by anger. And that's why you only see us get political when white people piss us off. If white people ain't pissing us off, we could care less what white people do to us. But when you piss us off, like taking the life of one of our loved ones, which should piss us off, the point that I'm making, before they killed your loved one, we should have already been policing our own community so nobody has to call 911 in the first place. You see how that goes? See, love, when you love your people, you build and do for them before there's a crisis.
Say it, brother. When you love each other, you build before there's a crisis, right? I'm gonna stop my video right here on him, but he also talks about he makes the analogy of how you do your children, right? When we have children, we raise our child in the way that we think they should grow, right? That's to paraphrase the Bible, right? Raise a child in the way that they should go, so that when they get older, they'll come back to it. Now, in the Bible, he's talking about religion, but it applies the same in life. When you teach a child about how to take care of family, when they get older and they begin to think about developing their own family, they'll remember to take care of the family that came before them and after them. So the same thing becomes, right? So that when you have a developing family, when you have a family unit, a mother, a father, children who are being raised in the right way, then they raise up and then they develop and grow beyond the typical problems that get them in trouble. Now, you may have a slip up every now and then, but because they were raised right, they always come back to what they know was right. But when you're raised in a generation that has no rules, a generation that has no structure, then when they go over, because they had no structure, because they had no rules, what do? Whatever. What decisions do they make? Whatever. Because they have nothing guiding them in a place that's going to get them to a place of success. And so they falter. They fall on their face multiple times. And every now and then, one or two of them will rise above. But a lot of them will rise below. Which is why, if you listen to any of my podcasts, you know one of the biggest things I'm preaching is family. When are we going to get back to family? When are we going to get back to a mother, a father, kids? Love each other, foundation in God, raising kids the right way. Man, I can't wait to raise a generation that believes a family unit is still the best way to ensure success. Man, I'm going to end this right here, man. He spit a lot. Dr. Umar said a lot. I hope I said something that touched you in one way, in the shape, or form. Amen. I miss y'all. I hope y'all miss me. But on that note, I'm out.